My name is Shelby. My late husband, Antonio, was the best thing that ever happened to me. Long story short, he died in a motorcycle accident exactly 8 years ago today, April 29th, 2016. What I'm about to tell you is something I've locked away in the darkest corner of my mind since it happened. I think I'm finally ready to talk about it. Antonio and I grew up together in Italy. English is actually my second language. One of his biggest dreams was to travel to Greece. We talked about it often, but life always seemed to get in the way. One of my deepest regrets is not taking time off work that one summer to go with him. In late spring of 2018, I decided to finally make the trip he'd always wanted. I was 36, with no children, and didn't like the idea of traveling completely alone. I booked a best of Greece cruise: Athens, Santorini, Ephesus, Mykonos, Volos, Thessaloniki, then back to Athens. I told myself I should be excited. This was his dream, after all, but I couldn't shake the sadness of being there without him. The first night after leaving Athens, I drank more wine than I should have. In Santorini, I ended up at a small bar, sipping martinis, when I noticed him, a man in his 40s with long brown hair and an unkempt beard. He wasn't bad looking, but his stare was wrong. It wasn't the kind of look a man gives when he's flirting. It was cold, focused, like he was trying to burn a hole through my face. I brushed it off, finished my 8th drink, and hurried back to the ship. The next city was Ephesus. Nothing unusual happened there, just more drinking, more wandering. Mykonos was next. I was sitting at an outdoor bar when I saw him again, leaning against a light pole, arms crossed, same exact clothes. He was too far for me to tell if he was looking directly at me, but his head was tilted in my direction. My stomach dropped. Was I being followed? I glanced away, pretending not to notice him, but when I looked back, he was gone. That somehow made it worse. I walked back to the ship with another couple instead of being alone. In Volos, I decided to test a theory. I waited at the gangway as people left the ship, watching every single passenger. He never got off. Thessaloniki was the last stop. I swore I wouldn't waste my day hiding on the ship. I wandered the streets, avoiding bars, trying to enjoy the architecture. Then I saw him, standing in the middle of a street, arms at his sides, staring. This time, instead of fear, I felt a strange surge of adrenaline. I shouted at him and started toward him. Without a word, he turned and ran. I chased him through twisting streets, but when I turned a final corner, he was gone, completely gone. Back home, I couldn't stop thinking about him. I searched police reports, missing person databases, anything. Then I found it, a missing person poster. The man looked almost identical. His name, Antonio. I called the police to report my sightings. After a long pause, the operator told me something that made my blood run cold. That case had been closed a month earlier. He'd been found dead in a boating accident off the coast of Parga, Greece. The date of his death, April 29th. 2 years to the day after my husband died. I felt dizzy. The only city I hadn't seen him in was Ephesus, which, I suddenly realized, was in Turkey, not Greece. I've never believed in the paranormal, but no explanation I've come up with makes sense. Last summer, I returned to Athens for my niece's wedding, and there he was again. Same clothes, same stance by the bar. I only saw him for a second before he vanished into the crowd. Maybe it was the wine, maybe I imagined it, but one thing is certain. I will never set foot in Greece again. I'm a senior at Rowan University in South Jersey. My friends in the sorority call me Devon. Last summer, I went on a Bahamas cruise with 3 of my girlfriends, Tar, Messina, and Taylor. We'd all just turned 21, so our only goals were simple: drink more, and have fun. After a grueling semester full of Greek life drama and school stress, we thought we'd earned it. The cruise line was Carnival. We'd stop at a few Bahamian islands before heading back to New York City. On the very first day, we docked at Paradise Island. By midday, all 4 of us were already drunk at a beachside bar, laughing and shamelessly flirting with guys so they'd buy us drinks. At one point, Messina asked me to grab her another drink. I went up to the bar and she followed me. When the drinks came, I wanted a quick selfie with her before heading back to our table. I pulled out my phone, snapped a couple pictures, and just then, Tara called her over. She bounced off, leaving her drink behind. Not wanting someone to swipe it, I set my phone on the bar, grabbed her drink along with mine, and walked back to the table. We joked about her being forgetful, and a while later started heading back toward the boat. The second the ship pulled away, panic hit me. My phone wasn't in my bag. I'd left it at the bar. My stomach sank. On the first day of the cruise, my phone, gone. I almost cried on the spot. Back in my cabin, I grabbed my laptop to track it. To my surprise, the location wasn't on the island. It was somewhere on the boat. I figured maybe someone had picked it up and would drop it at Lost and Found. But when I checked, they had nothing. My relief turned into suspicion. The next day, curiosity got the better of me. While standing at the front of the boat, I checked my laptop again. The tracker showed my phone practically on top of me. I scanned the crowd, wondering who could have it. I told my friends, and while most of them seemed shocked, Taylor looked amused, like she was holding back a laugh. It irritated me. Hours later, we were in the arcade. I checked again, same thing. My phone's signal was right near me. It was like whoever had it was following me around the ship. My suspicion zeroed in on Taylor. I confronted her, showing her the proof. She denied it, calling me stupid for losing it. She emptied her pockets and bag. Nothing. She smirked at me as I stormed off in tears. The next couple of days flew by. I avoided Taylor and stuck to myself, occasionally checking the tracker with no progress. Then, one night, I came back to my cabin and found an envelope slipped under the door. Inside was a handwritten letter from someone named Bart Vinsky. He claimed he'd found my phone unlocked, gone through it, thought I was beautiful and wanted to confess his love for me. I felt sick. He knew my face, my name, my room. I reported it to ship security, but they were useless. Luckily, the creep never contacted me again before the cruise ended. When we got home, I thought it was over, until that night. I was in my room watching TV when I thought, why not check the location one more time? I opened the tracker and froze. The little blue dot was on my house. My blood ran cold. I screamed, waking my family. My dad grabbed his hunting rifle, ran outside, and fired into the air, shouting. A man suddenly bolted from our backyard, leaping the side gate and sprinting down the street. When we went around back, my heart nearly stopped. One of my dad's ladders was propped against the house, right under my bedroom window. The wooden latch was almost cut through. A few more minutes and he could have been inside. We called the police. It's been 2 weeks without another incident, but I still can't sleep knowing someone had access to my phone. And to me. This might sound unusual, but for as long as I can remember, I dreamed of being a bartender on a cruise ship. While most people around me chased steady jobs and secure paths, I longed for the sea. Something about serving drinks while waves stretched endlessly outside seemed magical. Maybe it was the idea of waking to new horizons, maybe the thrill of travelers' stories, or maybe just my nature. I've always loved conversations, learning about strangers I might never meet again. A cruise ship promised endless stories from wanderers, honeymooners, and retirees. In my mid-20s, that dream finally came true. I applied to Royal Caribbean without much hope, but when I got the job, it felt like the world opened wide. Suddenly, I wasn't just behind a neighborhood bar. I was stepping into adventure. Life at sea was demanding, yet rewarding. Long hours, endless orders, exhaustion, but also laughter, unforgettable faces, and the joy of docking somewhere new every week. By my third tour, I felt seasoned. Then came the transatlantic journey. 12 days from Miami to Spain. 5 uninterrupted days at sea, which some crew hated, but I secretly loved. Those nights were packed with tourists, laughter and glasses clinking, until I noticed him. He was different, mid-30s, tall, sharp green eyes, and a quiet sadness. His name was Sebastian. Unlike most passengers, he drank slowly, politely. At first, he barely spoke, but then he opened up. His wife had betrayed him with his closest friend. The raw ache in his voice stayed with me. He said he'd booked the cruise to escape. One night, he thanked me for listening and offered to buy me a drink. Against my better judgment, I agreed. I even let him step behind the bar to mix it. That was the crack that changed everything. Minutes after drinking, my body grew heavy, my vision blurred. Darkness swallowed me. When I woke, I was tied to my bed in my cabin, a towel shoved in my mouth. My belongings were gone. Phone, jewelry, even the safe. Staff freed me, security got involved, but instead of panic, they hushed it up. Sebastian had already left at the first port. His documents were real, yet useless. He had vanished. I took leave, shaken, but the nightmare wasn't over. Weeks later, envelopes began arriving. Inside were photographs. Me at the grocery store, me at the mall, me walking to my car. Each shot proved he was still watching. By the sixth envelope, I went to the police, but help was minimal. Then, one night, I heard tapping at my bedroom window. I didn't need to look. I knew it was him. The next morning, I packed everything and disappeared. New city, new phone, new locks. For 3 months, silence. No photos, no knocks. But deep down, I know he's still out there. The worst part isn't the robbery. It's that he stole my dream. Bartending at sea was all I ever wanted. For a while, it was everything. Now, the thought of stepping behind a bar again fills me with dread. Dreams can twist into nightmares in an instant. And sometimes, what's stolen isn't just your belongings, but the very life you built around them.